If you're thinking about starting your own recruiting business, I want to share with you one of the most common mistakes that I see most people make in the very beginning of launching their recruiting business. I'm Russell Liebowitz, owner and founder of Recruitemy, where I mentor and coach 1,520 aspiring entrepreneurs and recruiters who either own businesses right now and are having a hard time with sales, along with people who are brand new to recruiting, know nothing about it, but are very interested in starting their own recruiting agency. So guys, the biggest mistake that I see people make in the very beginning is the issue of not getting out of their own way and focusing on things that really do not matter in the very beginning stages. And I'll give you an example of that. I'm going to provide some examples, and I'm going to show you later in this video what you really need to do as I dive into my computer and give you some real life examples of what I did to launch a $36 million recruiting company back in 2015. So one of the biggest time wasters that I see people focus on in the beginning is the idea of having to have a website and literally spending days and weeks designing a website for their recruiting business. I know several multi-million dollar staffing billers who don't have a website and do just fine. You're not starting a clothing boutique or a bike shop or an e-commerce business. There's no reason to work on a website and to even have a website up and running anytime soon. Wait till you start making some placements and then consider designing a website. Another hindrance that I see that people focus on are logos, business cards, phone lines. Guys, none of that matters right now. The only thing that you should be focused on is testing your niche. So all these little things that I just mentioned, websites, logos, business cards, phone lines, getting incorporated, taxes, guys, it's all a distraction. Sure, those things should be in place, but not right now. Don't let that stop you from moving forward with your goals and your dreams of owning your own recruiting company and breaking free of corporate America. I think in general in life, it's really easy to get distracted and to think of things that are easy to do versus the hard things to do. So one of the hardest things to do when you own a recruiting company, or if you're thinking about owning one, is picking up the phone and prospecting and cold calling to your target audience, to companies and hiring managers to see if they have a need, or spending time composing a really compelling email or in-mail to targeted hiring managers to elicit responses from them. These are what I call close to the dollar activities. These are the activities you should only be focusing on right now and nothing else. So let me jump into my computer and show you exactly what I did back in 2015 for really the first 4 to 6 months, how I got out of my comfort zone and what it took for me to build this company to over $36 million in annual revenue.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot a video today for my YouTube channel on the basics of if I was to start a brand new recruiting company today, like what would I do? I don't know. Sometimes it's always good to go back to the basics. I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to show you is nothing that you haven't seen before. It's not earth shattering, but sometimes it's good to see it and just get back to the basics. So yeah. I was thinking back of when I started Broadstaff, which is a $35 million recruiting company right now. Mm-hmm. I sold my equity in 2018. But I launched it in 2015 by myself. And the first 6 months, it was a grind. Like I didn't have any business. I was literally going to Moe's every Tuesday for their $5 burrito special. Mm-hmm. And I was in the office at like 6 a.m. and then I didn't get home till 9 o'clock at night because I was determined to make this thing work. And for me, I spent most of my time on Indeed. So I always had Indeed up, and then I had LinkedIn, which is right here. And I did some research on like the type of skill sets that were prevalent in the niche that I was going after, which is wireless telecom. Mm-hmm. So like small cell engineer is a pretty popular skill set. I'd open up to the country and see what comes up here. I haven't done this in a long time. And I'll go through and look at this stuff and see the companies like this Ramona Optics, for example. I have no idea who they are, mm-hmm. but I would dive into Sales Navigator.
Okay.
Ramona Biotech.
Nice.
All right, this is great. So I love the fact they have 73 employees. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So I click on their company and do some, like Sales Navigator is awesome. Don't just use this for Leadcast. There's some great insights in here. This being the best one is this is LinkedIn determination of who the decision makers are. Obviously, these two guys are decision makers, Greg and Mark. but I'll click on decision makers. And so a couple of things. Number one, what I would do back then, I wasn't doing video messaging. I hadn't really discovered that strategy yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sending these guys in mails. So I click on Mark, we're third degree connections.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd fire out a message to Mark, something along the lines of, hey, Mark, I noticed that you guys are advertising for a small cell engineer in North Carolina, and thought it was prudent that I get a hold of you immediately because we do have those people in our pipeline. And if I can get a better sense of or details of what you really need in that engineer, I've got about pretty much after 12 o'clock, I'm freed up to do nothing but a search for you and to find this candidate for you. And I'm not going to charge you a penny for that, Mark. That's in the beginning when I first started my company. I wasn't asking for money up front. I just needed an opportunity. Mark, if you'll give me that opportunity, that's all I'm asking for, and I can hopefully have some candidates over to you this week. Most of the time, I did get, yeah, let's see what you got, Russ, or because they had nothing to lose on their side.
Yeah.
And it just elicited a response. It's all I wanted. I wanted to create dialogue with Mark. That was important to me. No matter how I got him to talk, I needed him to talk to me, talk back to me, and acknowledge me. Because I knew once he did that, I could cultivate a relationship from there. Like literally, this is what I would do all day, this kind of stuff. And then I go back into Indeed. I just would type in other skill sets, and I'd go through this. There's 800 jobs that came up with this keyword search right here.
Yeah.
Dish networks, they're so big, James Knowers. I would avoid companies like Dish, like the larger ones. It's just, there's too much bureaucracy.
Russ, just real quick, I was just curious, do you prefer Indeed as a job board over others?
Yeah, I do. I've used them all. And it's interesting, James, anytime I got a new rec, I would start an Indeed, and I got that unlimited resume search feature for $300 a month. And I would use it for 3 months and then cancel it if I didn't need it anymore. Because you can go month to month with it. But yeah, I set up Indeed's pretty cool because you do your search and you can select like hundreds of applicants. And then you have a pre-built email template that you build ahead of time, driving the applicants to your job page that we have as a template in high level. And
I was just more curious about when you're hunting clients, do you feel like Indeed's got like where LinkedIn I know is paid, you've got Dice, you've got, built in.
Yeah. So Indeed, I always went there. I actually did ZipRecruiter sometimes for like lower level roles. I didn't really go on a Monster too much or Career Builder, but it was like, for me, it was LinkedIn jobs because those were typically higher level positions people were looking for. And I would say majority was Indeed for me to prospect for clients.
Okay. So you said you would send that email. I think the guy's name was Mark on the other page.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd send him an email saying, hey, I got some candidates. We got candidates in our pipeline. If you didn't hear from them, would your next step be to cold call them? And then how long would you wait to cold call them?
Yeah, I would drop Mark into my ATS, put his name in there. I had Zoom Info at the time because we had a little bit of money to invest with that company. So I bought some tools. I would copy and paste his cell phone number, his email address in the ATS, and I'd set up a task reminder for me in 3 days to reach back out to Mark. I would type in notes like, I'd actually copy the job opening in Indeed and paste it in Mark's notes in the ATS so it reminded me what he was looking for. Left voicemail for Mark. So then 3 days later or 2 days later, I'd call. I just call in. And if I didn't get him on the phone, the voicemail was, Mark, Russell Liebowitz here, ConnectGen. I fired you over a LinkedIn in-mail on Wednesday regarding your small cell role in North Carolina. I'll get right to the point. I can fill this role for you. I want to talk to you about it. Give me a call back at this number. I'm available after 12 o'clock today, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you don't hear from them again, what's your next touch point?
I'm trying to think what I did back then. What did I do back then?
Well, what would you do now?
Now I would do a dub video. I would do
Even if you're not connected to him, you do a dub?
Yeah, definitely. I would fire over an email dub to his email address and probably a text message afterwards. Mark, just left you a voicemail . And he's gonna be like, who the hell's this? Great. Hey, it's Russ, ConnectGen. I can fill that role for you, that small cell role. Let's talk.
Okay.
Or if they're like, how'd you find my number? I'm a recruiter. That's what I do. Like in my mind, I'm thinking that, but like people get worried about that. They're like, but what if they get mad that I called them? Who cares? It's fine. We have to make a living right now. And we're recruiters, we're researchers. And I found you on Indeed, found your company on Indeed. And I know I can help you fill this role better than any recruiter can do for you. I just want the opportunity to help you.
So how did you find my number? I'm a recruiter. I'm a researcher. This is what I do. And I found you on Indeed. I found your company. I found you as a decision maker, and I tracked you down, and I want to fill this role for you.
Yep, I would use the words professional agitation. That worked out really well. Hey, Mark, forgive my professional agitation. I'm working hard here to find great candidates for companies like yours. I'm really good at what I do. And that's why I've been so persistent with you, because I got to the office at 7 a.m. this morning, literally thinking about your role, and I want to fill it for you. Be a stalker, 100%. Like, that's what they want from you. They want to see you be confident and aggressive, because they don't have time to think about things right now. That was the mentality I had. For me, it was do or die. Like, when I started that company, like, I was all in. My money was in. I had investors' money in. I was not going to go back and work in corporate America. I'd rather sleep on a bench. Like, I couldn't do it. I can't work for somebody. So every day I was living like I had nothing. And when you put your mindset there, it's amazing what you can accomplish. And I had to fake it till I made it, right? Like, I imagined myself as the Michael Jordan of staffing. I know it sounds super cheesy, guys. I get it. But even though I wasn't back then, in my mind, I told myself, nobody's better than me. Even though I don't have one placement under my belt yet, I pretended I had thousands of placements, and I could help everybody that I talked to. That was how that's how I approached my business back then. Yeah. Does that sound dumb? I don't know. It's just like,
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really get into mindset too much. I'm not like Tony Robbins, but it's tough, man. When you're starting a recruiting company, it's hard. You guys know, James, you've gone through the emotional tunnel of the roller coaster since I've known you. But you persevere, man. It takes resilience, perseverance. It takes discipline. If another guy can do it down the road from you who's making $5 million a year, what can be done? Like, people need recruiters right now. They do. No matter, don't listen to the economy, and just block that stuff out and get after it every day and make an impact, and just make the phone calls and do the follow-up. Mike, I compare it to, it's very similar to if you wanted to lose 50 pounds, it's going to take 6 months plus to lose 50 pounds, but there's things you got to do to get there. You can't go to the gym for a week and eat broccoli and chicken for 3 days and then not do that the following week. You got to do it every week.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the guys that I'm talking to, the guys that I've been able to get to pick up the phone and talk to, managers, that is, hiring managers, the three of them were like, hey, we're sending things to Costa Rica and India, and they're laying teams. Target just laid off a team of 35. I had one that I thought, hey, this is going to go somewhere, but then they basically just lost the job. They said, yeah, we're putting this on hold. And I thought maybe they were just telling me that to make me go away, but no, it's off their website, and it looks like they're putting it on hold.
Yeah, no, Mike, I know that's been a thing for you for a while. Are you familiar with the service Handwritten? Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I did this. So what you might want to do today is look at your target list of companies that you really want to work with, but they're just not giving you the response that you, but maybe you've heard back from them. Maybe they told you no in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, sorry guys, my internet connection started buffering. Can you hear me okay? But it's Handwritten, HANDWRYTEN is how you spell it. Okay. For less than $10, they will create a personalized postcard for you. You just type out what you want it to say. They literally write it as if it's your handwriting. You pick the design of the card, and then they've got options at the end for gift cards, like $5 Starbucks card, $5 Amazon card. You pick one and set aside $100 today in your budget and get, 20 of those out or 15 of those letters out today, tomorrow, to a good target list of people that need recruiters. And I did that. And I used to get responses. And then I'd follow up with an email 2 weeks later because Handwritten will notify you when the letter is delivered. So you'll know, and then you can send it. If you don't hear from the manager, hey, Bob, just wanted to follow up. I sent you a postcard. I know that's a lost art nowadays. I get it, but to keep things personal, and you're definitely on my radar. So, hey, if you have time tomorrow, enjoy that coffee. I'd love to have coffee with you on a Zoom call or something, and let's connect. If you send them like a Starbucks gift card for $5.
Okay. And what do you put in the card? What kind of note do you put in the card? Hey, I want to talk to you, or enjoy this.
Yeah, no, it's up to you. Depending on the interaction you've already had with that person, you can acknowledge that, hey, I know when we spoke through LinkedIn last week, you mentioned you don't have a need right now, but I do want to sync up with you. Hey, enjoy this coffee and let's meet or something. I don't have the answer for that, but every situation is different, right? At that point in time when I was doing it, I was in different stages of my phone calls and combos with these managers. So I'd reference my notes, and that's how I did it.
Yeah.
It's just something different, right? I mean, you don't want to give up on these folks. So be persistent.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.